could, however, improve if the fiscal consolidation process is restored alongside monetary policy tightness and exchange rate stability.
The governor indicated that the cedi in the last quarter of 2016 performed fairly well against its trading partners, and measures have been put in place to support its stability.
The foreign exchange market witnessed some volatilities in the run-up to the December polls as demand pressures mounted, but the pace of depreciation has since slowed down. In 2016, the Ghana cedi recorded a cumulative depreciation of 9.6% against the US dollar, compared with 15.7% in 2015. In their outlook, the tight monetary policy stance, renewed confidence in the economy, and improved balance of payments outturn are expected to support stability in the foreign exchange market.
Last Friday, the Minister-designate for Finance, Mr. Ken Oforiatta, said the total debt stock of the country stands at about 112 billion Ghana cedis, which is over 70% of GDP. But when the governor was asked about it, he said his outfit is responsible for monetary policy.
The debt, of course, is a fiscal issue and can only do so much. I mean, what can we do? I mean, our focus on monetary operation, of course, and it's something that concerns us. We provide advice, and that's the most we can do. And you know, when it comes to it, we can provide some red alerts from our narrow. We see that, you know, things are getting out of whack. We can have a meeting with the fiscal authority and just draw their attention to it. I think what's critical and where we have control is central bank financing of government, which we never did.
Ghana is expected to meet the IMF in the next couple of weeks to review the $918 million extended credit agreement signed a couple of years ago. Dr. Abdul Nashiri Sahaku says he supports the decision by the new government to review the IMF program. The governor said the inability of Ghana to meet key targets set out in the IMF program makes it difficult for the new administration to continue from where the previous government left off. Ghana missed out on key targets on the debt levels, GDP growth and budget deficit in 2016.
Development, it's fair to think that a renegotiation is possible, and in that sense, if it's done, we just recalibrate our targets in a way that would also sustain fiscal consolidation. Nothing out of the renegotiation should derail the path that's taking us to macroeconomic stability, and we support any effort at renegotiating with the fund in a manner that would consolidate the progress that we are witnessing. For us, whatever the outcome of the renegotiation, and I did mention, the objective must be to stabilize the macroeconomy. And a renegotiation has to be agreed with the fund, whatever it is, whether it's 5% or 0%. Our efforts as a central bank must support any agreement or effort at stabilizing the macroeconomy, and that remains our position.
Bank of Ghana will for March this year circulate a new 5 cedi note with new security features and design. According to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Abdul Nashiri Sahaku, the 5 cedi note will have additional security features that are sensitive to touch to enable the visually impaired identify it.
We're coming up with what we call the commemorative 5 cedi notes. It's the usual 5 cedi notes that you see. The usual 5 cedi notes that you see. We always print notes We always print notes, and we would have printed the 5 city notes anyway, based on our forecast for new notes. But it just happens that this is our 60th year as a central bank. So we just, what we would have ordered anyway, we just labeling them and adding some features so that when you pick one, you know that this is the 60th year of the central bank. Something must be there. Maybe you can give it to your grandkids that we can always go back to remember. It's something we had budgeted for. It's not an additional expenditure. So it's a normal part of our operations in currency management, but also to celebrate 60 years of existence from 1957 to 2017. That's all. The cost is normal and consistent with the prints that we have, 5 city prints that we've had. So that's what it is.
The Minister Designate for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Chematin, has outlined some initiatives that his ministry will be undertaking to boost the economy if he is approved by the vetting committee. Mr. Chematin told the appointment committee that the initiatives will ease the means of doing business and create a conducive business environment for small and medium-scale investors.
That the business sector has been worried about. First is general business environment in terms of regulations, even to the extent of how long does this take to register a business. So there are interventions designed to improve the regulatory reform, the legal and regulatory reform, which will be part of what the ministry will be engaged in. If you talk about access to land, that is part of the challenge that currently confronts the business sector. Access to energy. We've talked about access to finance. So whether it is in the component that deals with business development and investment or with improving the competitiveness, these are all elements that are meant to help the private sector. Now, unless a particular company comes with a very specific challenge that is not generic, if that is the case, then we are committed as a ministry to provide a direct response to.
The Minister Designate for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Chematin, says he supports calls by investors in the cocoa industry to give processors the liberty to import cocoa beans when supplies run short.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Again, at the risk of saying something which may not necessarily coincide with what my colleague, the Minister Designate for Agriculture, will be talking about, I would say that I'm fully committed to a regime where, if it is possible to go to 100% processing of cocoa in our sector, we should do so. Because 70% of the value of every chocolate bar goes to the processors. And so literally, we are surrendering 70% of the value of what we produce to foreign processors. And I think that it will be a major transition for our government if we start looking not so much only in respect of foreign companies who are establishing cocoa processing factories in this country, which is very useful. I mean, there's no doubt that they have the technology, the experience. But we must start encouraging local investors also to take advantage of the processing of cocoa beans. And if that has to survive, then obviously it makes sense that you have to liberalize the cocoa industry so that people can actually import and feed their factories, and also us make sure that we have enough cocoa beans to support our processing company.
News are, and this is the business segment. In other news, Equatorial Guinea has formally applied to join the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Equatorial Guinea is projecting to produce 32.5 million barrels of oil per day. OPEC is the world's largest organization of oil producers. Equatorial Guinea joined 10 non-cartel members to cut 558,000 barrels per day of oil production through 2017. The country has announced that it has expressed its interest to join the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. The sector minister, Gabriel Mbaga Obiang, traveled to Vienna on January 20 to meet the OPEC officials and present the government of Equatorial Guinea's offer to become the 14th member of the cartel. With 32.5 million barrels per day of output projected this year, OPEC is the world's largest organization of oil producers. Mr. Obiang said the country firmly believes that Equatorial Guinea's interests are fully aligned with those of OPEC in serving the best interests of the industry, Africa and the global economy. Equatorial Guinea's share of the cut is 12,000 barrels per day. Even through a 2-year sustained slump in oil prices, Equatorial Guinea has maintained liquid output levels at a competitive level. The country has remained committed to investing in the entire energy supply chain through landmark projects such as the Bioko Oil Terminal, the Fortuna Floating Liquefied Natural Gas Project, and others. Equatorial Guinea is the third largest oil and gas producer in sub-Saharan Africa. Its 10.6 million pounds of annual oil and gas exports account for 95% of the country's total exports, with shipments sold every day to China, India, Japan, Korea and many other countries. President Donald Trump has fulfilled a campaign pledge by signing an executive order to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP. Dr. George C. Payanki, CEO of the Ghana National Gas Company, is set to proceed on terminal leave. The board of the company last week approved a request by the CEO to proceed on terminal leave effective February 1, 2017 and terminating in May 2017. Corporate Communications Manager of Ghana Gas, Mr. Alfred Ogbami, said Dr. Yampi leaves behind an inspirational legacy of overseeing the conception, birth and growth of Ghana's premier natural gas processing company. Moving on the interbank markets, the pound is selling at 5 cedis 21 pesos, the US dollar at 4 cedis 23 pesos, and the euro is also trading at 4 cedis 52 pesos. Up next are the figures. Commodities market, light crude is trading at $52.43 per barrel and cocoa at $2,152 per ton. Gold is also going for $1,213.60 an ounce. That was it for business. The health segment is next.
Thanks for staying on. In this segment, researchers say babies between 1 to 12 months old should sleep at their backs instead of their stomachs. This, according to scientists, reduces the risk of sudden infant death or SIDS. A pediatrician at Sumpa Clinic, Dr. Yvonne Brew, told GBC24 that the sudden infant death syndrome is much higher when a baby sleeps on its side or stomach.
Sudden infant death syndrome, also known as SIDS, occurs when an infant 1 to 12 months old or younger dies during sleep without warning signs or a clear reason. SIDS is one of the leading cause of death among infants and claims the lives of over 3,000 infants worldwide annually. It is a frightening prospect because it strikes without warning, usually in seemingly healthy babies. SIDS remains unpredictable despite years of research. Although there is no 100% way to prevent SIDS, there is a lot one can do to lower a baby's risk. Scientists outline that one can reduce SIDS in babies if infants should sleep in the same room with the parent for the first year of life or at least for the first 6 months.
It's been found that these healthy babies who die suddenly in their sleep do have a little underdevelopment in some parts of the brain. In such babies, when they sleep and they feel that they cannot breathe because maybe their nose is covered or there's a cloth on their face, what every person should do is to immediately wake up and start breathing. But for such babies, the alert does not come from the brain that they should move their heads, and it is thought that that contributes to the death of such babies. So the recommendation is we do not want to clutter the bed with woolen shawls and woolen blankets. There should just be a cot sheet on the bed. The baby should lie on the cot sheet, and then we should not cover the baby with too many clothes. In addition, we want to avoid as much bed sharing as possible. The baby should have the freedom to sleep and roll around comfortably.
Researchers say a baby's risk of SIDS has been found to be 1.7 to 12.9 times higher if he sleeps on his tummy instead of his back. When a baby sleeps tummy down, he is more likely to overheat, have pauses in breathing, and rebreathe the air he has just exhaled, which lacks oxygen.
When you want to put a baby down, make sure that the bed is firm with just a cloth on the bed. And then you put the baby on the back this way to sleep. Okay, and if you want to cover the baby, you cover the baby with a cot sheet. So such a baby will not have anything covering their face. You can easily see what is happening with the baby. We do not encourage woolen sheets for the babies, because these ones, the baby can easily pull it to cover the nose. So the baby, do not use this to cover a sleeping baby. Just use the cot sheet to cover a sleeping baby. Put the baby on the back and the baby will be just fine.
Doctors advise that parents should insist that caregivers or whoever is in charge of monitoring their babies must put them in a correct position.
Food scientists in the UK are warning that bread, chips and potatoes should be cooked to a golden brown color rather than brown to reduce the intake of a chemical which could cause cancer. The chemical substance, which is called acrylamide, is produced when starchy foods are roasted, fried or grilled for too long at high temperatures.
Acrylamide is present in many different types of food and is a natural byproduct of the cooking process. The highest levels of the substance are found in foods with high starch content which have been cooked above 120 degrees Celsius, such as crepes, bread, breakfast cereals, biscuits, crackers, cakes and coffee. It can also be produced during home cooking when high starch foods such as potatoes, chips, bread and parsnips are baked, roasted, grilled or fried at high temperatures. When bread is grilled to make toast, for example, this causes more acrylamide to be produced. The darker the color of the toast, the more acrylamide is present. During the browning process, the sugar, amino acids and water present in the bread combine to create color and acrylamide, as well as flavor and aromas. The Food Standards Agency in the UK says it is not clear exactly how much can acrylamide be tolerated by people, but it does believe that people are eating too much of it. So it is advising people to make small changes to the way they cook and prepare food.
Daniel Eduode has been diagnosed with end-stage renal disease. To undergo kidney transplant, he needs $50,000 and a donor.
Daniel Edu has been diagnosed with end-stage renal disease or kidney failure and needs $50,000 and a donor to undergo kidney transplant. He has been undergoing hemodialysis services and laboratory tests 3 times a week with other medications at the cost of 4,250 Ghana cedis a month. Daniel is unable to work properly or sleep due to his condition. Daniel Eduode is appealing to the general public and other benevolent organizations for assistance. No amount is too small.
I was diagnosed for the past 4 years and I'm on dialysis for almost 3 years. But due to funds, I've been going for dialysis every 3 times a week. But because funds is a problem for me now, I go 2 times a week. The doctor says I need transplant, which is cost of $50,000 US. And so I'm appealing that if anybody is being touched or the general public will contribute to help me, I would be much grateful for it. Thank you.
You can send your donations to the Ghana Commercial Bank account number 130-101-018-3607 or the MTN number 0244-765-508.
And that's it for the health segment. Coming up is the international news.
Hello, good evening, and updates from happenings in the world of sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa to Gabon now, where the Black Stars have agreed to a 50% cut in their winning bonus. Back in Accra, this year's Congress of the Ghana Fencing Association has been held in Accra. Congress maintained Mohamed Mahdi as president and elected 4 additional members to assist in the running of the association for the next 4 years. The association has held its annual Congress in Accra. Current President Mohamed Mahdi went unopposed. Muftar Rashid Idrisu pulled 10 votes to be Salifu Sedega for the vice president position. Hassanatu Zakaria pulled 6 votes to beat Abu Safian Al-Hassan for the general secretary position. The treasurer position was not contested for as Badamashi Ibn Muhammad was re-elected. The Adlis Commission was also not contested for as Al-Hassan Samba retained his seat. Ms. Ven Osteria and Mr. Samuel Nkrumah were elected as members. The Deputy Director General of the National Sports Authority in charge of technical, Saka Akweyi, administered the oath of office.
The Ghana Olympic Committee and the National Sports Authority.
The president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, Professor Francis Dodu, praised the federation for its achievement and pledged its outfit's support for the association.
2017 is also the year where there's no African Games, there's no Commonwealth Games, and there's no Olympic Games. It's the year in the 4-year quadrennial which is in a sense quite empty. So the decision we took a couple of years ago was that this is the year that perhaps we can dedicate a bit more of the resource, the $85,000 resource, to some of the younger and federations and the ones that are not Olympic federations and haven't had any help. So once we get those monies, you will see what the GOC can do more than we have done in the past.
The new executives have promised to do more to sustain the interest of the sport in the country. It was an action-packed weekend, and the NBA, as the lives of the Golden State Warriors, the Suns, and the Mavericks returned to winning ways in their various conference matchups. Here are some highlights. So that's all for sports.
Hello, good evening. Let's do some entertainment. Niamri Michael is a high life artist who sings in Ghana. Ni says it is tough being a Ghana high life artist in a music industry that does not support Ghana music. His mentor is Nadbru Amanzuba. He was a guest on our showbiz segment.
Born in Old Botiano, Ni Amui had interest in doing music at the age of 9 by doing copyrights of other songs. Though the journey has not been easy, Ni Amui shared his challenges in doing music in Ghana.
It's very difficult being a musician and singing in Ghana. And I'm sure my brothers like Adani Bey, Saloti Tito, and other senior brothers will say the same thing. Because where we're coming from as Ghanaians, you know, there are certain things that we are very calculative, you know, very, very calculative. Like the other tribes who come up and support a good thing and stuff like that. Our people are so much interested in themselves,
okay,
so they don't bother what the next person is doing.
Okay.
This is what he had to say when asked whether he will switch to a different language to promote his music.
Ga is my language. I'm born a Ga and I can't do anything about it. So I see the importance of also helping to promote my language. So that is why I will and will still stick to singing the Ga.
Niamui has acknowledged the difficulties in the music industry despite the hard work he puts into his music.
In those days when we were following artists like my mentor, Nat Bruce, Amaziba and stuff, we realized that when you do good music and you have touching lyrics, it works, it goes. DJs play them everywhere, you know, and it easily goes. But now it's not like that anymore. You know, we have so many media houses, so many radio stations and stuff. So doing a promotion is not easy at all these days in the music industry.
Niamui is also gearing up to launch his album titled Osuma Wahi in August as he entertains his fans with 2 of his singles.
That's all in the segment. Have a good evening.
And that has been the weather. See you same time tomorrow. Good evening.
And that's all we have by way of news for now.
Thanks for watching.